Hi, Rudy Maxa here. We are here the first week of April in Dallas at the Dallas Travel and Adventure Show. You know, this is part of a series of, 7 or 8 travel shows around the country. We've already done Los Angeles and New York and somewhere else, Chicago, I think. And I'm here with my friend Peter Greenberg, who is CBS's travel editor, among many other things. Also the host of a whole series of royal tours with world leaders showing you their country. He's speaking here today. I'm speaking here today and tomorrow. If you're in the Dallas area, come on down. What is it, April 2nd today?
Yeah.
It's April 2nd today. So April 2nd and 3rd, this runs on. A lot of booths with a lot of destinations. Oh, yeah, I broke my arm since the last time you saw me, by the way. We're not going to go into that. Peter, I know you just came in from taking a cruise, and I want to ask you now, because just in this past week, the CDC dropped any requirements for passengers vis-a-vis COVID-19. Now, I'm guessing cruise lines may still have some rules, but what did you experience on your cruise? What cruise were you on?
Well, before I even get into that, let's go back about 2 years and talk about the original no-sail order, which literally stopped all cruise ships from sailing. And then when they issued a conditional no-sail order about 6 months later, each cruise line had to comply with about 75 different protocols, whether it was interior design changes, whether it was ventilation, whether it was quarantine, medical facilities, shore excursions, dining, you name it.
And the rules kept changing, and the dates kept changing.
They did, but the cruise ships did comply. And by last July, so about 9 months ago, a lot of ships started cruising. By this summer, by this June, over 300 ships will be back cruising, and they're selling out. What's happened now is, remember, what was that?
You say all the people from 20 and 21 who couldn't cruise are being pushed into those cruises.
Well, yeah, without being pushed, they're the ones who are pushing, because an overwhelming majority of cruise ship passengers are repeat cruisers. They love what they do. They have entitlement issues with their ships. They love certain ships, and they want to spend the money to do it. And all that money's been parked idle, now coming back. But what's interesting now, of course, is you cannot get on a cruise ship unless the crew's been vaccinated, the officers have been vaccinated, and the passengers have not only been vaccinated, but they have been tested immediately before boarding the ship. So whatever the country rules are, doesn't matter. You still have to get tested on the ship.
The cruise line has this rule.
Right. So I just got on the brand new Silver Sea Silver Dawn. It's their newest, most luxurious ship on its maiden voyage in Portugal. It's the 10th ship in their fleet. But here's the interesting thing. It's one of 24 ships that was actually built during the pandemic. People forget the shipyards are still working.
Right.
So all those design changes that the CDC wanted were baked into the new ships because they could do it in the shipyard. Right. They didn't have to do it as an aftermarket item. This ship is selling out. But to give you an idea of how much pent-up demand there is, consider this. About 10 days ago, another cruise line, Oceania, put up their for sale their 2024 World Cruise. Not their 2023. That one's already sold out. The 2024, the minimum cabin price per person, $47,000 for a 180-day itinerary. It goes up to $190,000 per person. The whole cruise sold out in 30 minutes.
Wow.
The whole thing.
Well, so is it fair to, excuse me, I didn't mean to interrupt, but is it fair to expect that because there was this demand from 2020 and 2021 passengers, that there are fewer berths than would be normally available, which might mean prices are a little higher?
Believe it or not, the prices are not a little higher. What's happened is, in the old traditional travel industry playbook, if you're coming out of a problem, whether it's an economic downturn, a civil disturbance, or in this case, a pandemic, the playbook says discount.
Right.
They're not discounting, but at the same time, they're not raising prices.
That's nice.
What they're doing is they're adding value-added attractions like free shore excursions, free overnights, free Wi-Fi, my favorite. Free liquor packages, your favorite.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. In any case, and people are not objecting to it. Now, the new CDC rule that you talked about, let's go back to that. They had a code for level 4 warning to passengers to avoid cruise ships. I'll do that again. A code for
don't hit the table.
I'm doing it. A warning for passengers about cruise ships that essentially covered 80% of the globe. About 3 weeks ago, they dropped it down to a level 2, which is a very moderate caution. And about 8 days ago, they dropped it entirely. No, but then it never told passengers they couldn't go. They just advised them not to.
Right.
Now there's no advice whatsoever. They're not saying don't go, and that's very good news for the cruise lines. And if you're a prospective passenger, what it means is you can actually go and take a cruise with a lot more comfort and confidence.
Well, speaking of masks, you also mentioned that in Europe, where mask requirements are being dropped in some countries, at least one airline, Norwegian Airlines, is saying you don't have to wear a mask on the plane. And I think our mask thing ends somewhere like the 23rd of this month or something.
No, it doesn't end. It's a decision date.
Well, it's a decision date,
Decision date
right?
on the 18th of April.
Okay.
When it was
What's your betting?
They're going to kick it down the road again. They're not going to end it on April 18th. They're going to go through Memorial Day to June 1. They just want to get through that period and then be done with it. But remember this: the rule is for public transportation, airlines, trains, buses, subways, you have to wear a mask.
Right. In America, right?
In America. And there are countries out there that also require that. What's already happened is that airlines in Britain, British Air, Ryanair, EasyJet, they already said we're ignoring that. You don't have to wear a mask anymore on our planes unless you're flying to a country that requires it, otherwise known as the United States.
Right.
What that also means, though, the minute you leave the United States on a British airline, whoop, mask comes off.
So do you have to wear a mask on the flight, or just be prepared to put on a mask as you get off the plane in that country?
My guess is you're going to just have to be prepared to put it on, simply because you have to wear a mask at an airport in this country.
Right.
So this is all good. The mask situation will go away before the other problem will. The other problem is the 24-hour rule requirement that you have to show a negative COVID-19 test within 24 hours of your return flight home to the United States, not just for American citizens, for anybody. Traveler to the
and that's
States.
An U.S. rule.
That's right. However, they've already dropped that rule for other countries with their returning travelers. So in the world of reciprocity, there's the hope that by June 1, that will also go away if you are vaccinated.
That would make a lot of American travelers happy. I'm a member of Ritz-Carlton's frequent guest program. And I tried to book, I did book, but I booked the Ritz-Carlton Marina Del Rey, near where you live part of the year, in LA. And
let me guess, $800 a night.
Yeah, but I was using points. Oh, no, actually I had 2 free nights in Ritz-Carlton because of my credit card or so. I don't know what. I forgot.
Right.
There they were. And it said 50,000 points. So I called them up. And they said, oh, gee, you should have called yesterday. It's now up to 60,000. Well, I had several 100,000 points on extra. So I said, okay, we'll just take 10,000 of my points and put it right on the. Oh, no, we can't do that. I said, what do you mean you can't do that? I have all these points. Couldn't do it. But they are having a meeting sometime in the next couple of weeks to maybe change that, which I think they should do.
Right.
Let's leave Ritz-Carlton aside. That's not a big problem for everybody. Right. However, Marriott, its parent corporation, did recently change its.
They're making it much more difficult.
That's what I wanted to get into because that's more important.
Look, the airlines, the way of stupidity, at least in terms of my feeling,
right?
With a fare-based system, so that the points they make it harder enough to earn the points. It's bad enough to try to redeem them. They now make it harder to earn them because it's based on the money you spent for your airline ticket. They're now going the same route in the hotel business. They're making it fare-based. It allows them to save a lot of money.
Sure.
Look, consider this. There are still over 1,000 hotels in this country that are in technical default. They're basically in technical foreclosure. They have not been able to make their debt service. And as we're coming out of this pandemic, the nature is, okay, let's sell rooms as much as we can, which means let's not give away any rooms.
Right.
And that's exactly what we're seeing now.
So a diminution of the Marriott guest loyalty
But you're also
programs.
seeing that at other hotels as well. They're all going to do the same thing because they tend to follow.
Well, they do follow. All right, Peter, thanks for stopping in for a chat. I know you're speaking soon. I'm over here on the Savvy Traveler stage. You were the original Savvy Traveler. You kindly let me use that name. I'm sure you regret it.
No, I don't regret it. It's just going to cost you 100,000 points.
and a lawsuit. Hey, thanks for joining us for the Dallas Travel and Adventure Show. There's one coming up in San Jose and
Santa Clara.
Santa Clara, right. It's called the San Jose San Francisco Travel Show. I mean, that's what it basically should be called, in Santa Clara, and that's in May. So check it out at traveladventureshow.com, and you can find more details. Meanwhile, go to petergreenberg.com. You can tune into his radio show. You can see where his TV shows are. And Maxa Tours, I'm selling some very small group, fairly upscale European tours. You can find information about those at maxatours.com. Meanwhile, travel safely.